Donald Trump tried to pull an only I can fix it out of his hat to save himself from humiliation after multiple musical artists pulled out of performing in his Great American State Fair. And he did that by inserting himself as the headliner for the kickoff event last night. It didn't seem to go very well. The celebrations are off to a very rocky start with video from the Bulwark showing what appears to be a steady stream of people leaving the event in the middle of Trump's speech. You can hear him talking. Listen.
Agreement on drug prices. We are delivering the largest reduction in drug price history with price differences.
I guess they felt like they'd heard that riff before. Not a great look, though, for a guy who worries so much about crowd size. The Bulwark's Jared Poland also shared this snap online of an attendee lying down on the grass, writing that Trump's speech was literally putting people to sleep. Let's bring in the aforementioned Rapid Response senior editor at the Bulwark, Jared Poland. So how was it?
The speech was definitely a short one by Trump standards. I've watched hundreds of Trump speeches since I've started working for the Bulwark, and his speech last night came in just a little under 30 minutes. And a lot of the crowd there, I would say, were definitely not your typical sycophantic, super Trump crazy supporter. There were definitely some of those there towards the front, but a lot of the people hanging out towards the back that I talked to, this had been their first Trump rally. And there were some people towards the front that I had talked to that actually it was his 116th Trump rally. And so those people I imagine stayed, but a lot of people got their picture of Trump and headed for the gates.
Trump is obsessed with late night, so I will show you how late night covered this. This is Jimmy Fallon.
Well, tonight, President Trump headlined a rally to celebrate America's 250th after all the musical artists dropped out of his concert. It's the first event where BYOB means bring your own band and YOLO. Tonight included a military flyover, Lee Greenwood singing God Bless the USA, and a speech by Trump. Even Trump's biggest fans were like, is this a repeat? Because I feel like I've seen this 400 times.
It's remarkable because Jimmy Fallon, of all of the men and women in late night and on that stage, pokes fun at Trump the least. But this is where it hurts the most if you're Donald Trump. A repeat, a rehash, not so A-list. What was it that they couldn't? I mean, last block we're talking about how all-powerful Trump is, that he's literally got media organizations, law firms, and all the federal government working for him, but he couldn't rub sticks together and get anyone better than himself?
So a lot of the people that I talked to at the rally, they were there not because of Trump, but because they wanted to be there to see the festivities. There were definitely some Trump supporters there, but I think a lot of the people backed out because Trump really has made this entire America 250 celebration about him. And a lot of people that were there definitely were looking for something to celebrate America and were happy to see the president speak, but I think they were more so there for the flyovers and the Marine Corps band that was playing before. So I think the attendance would have probably lasted a little bit longer into the night had the original acts stayed on board.
I want to show you Trump trying to do some crowd building for his next event featuring himself. This is Trump seeming to beg the crowd to come to his 4th of July speech.
Then on July 4th, we will have the greatest show of all on the National Mall. Your favorite president will be speaking. So please show up. Because if we have 2 empty seats, you know what's going to happen? The fake news is going to say he didn't fill out the arena.
I mean, he doth protest us so much. The idea that we're the problem. He seems to be the problem when it comes to empty seats. Clearly showing the vulnerability that this exposes, the lack of attendance, the lack of enthusiasm, and people walking out looking for non-political, I guess most generous description, acts.
Yeah, I think this celebration would have been a lot better had Trump not made himself the center of it. But unfortunately, with Donald Trump, he's incapable of doing that. I mean, he wants to be at the center of every bit of this America 250 celebration. And last night, I think you saw how the crowd feels about that. As soon as he came on, the crowd started to thin out. And I think come the 4th of July. Because the fireworks are at the end, you might not see that as much. But last night, there was nothing to look forward to after Trump. So they got their pictures and they head for the gates.
So, let's take a moment and sit with what we just witnessed, because I think it deserves more than a punchline. America turned 250 years old this week. 2.5 centuries of revolution, of sacrifice, of reinvention. And the man entrusted with leading that celebration, the most powerful individual on the planet, with the full machinery of the federal government at his disposal, could not convince a single notable musical act to share a stage with him. Not one. And rather than step back, rather than make the moment about the nation, he stepped forward. He made himself the headline. He made himself the show. And the crowd walked out. Let that land. People did not leave because of the heat, or because of the hour, or because they had somewhere better to be. They left because, as the reporting from the ground made abundantly clear, they came for America, and what they got was Trump. They came for flyovers and brass bands and the kind of collective pride that transcends any single politician. What they got was a 30-minute speech they had, in many cases, heard 100 times before. That image, the man lying on the grass, eyes closed while the president spoke, is not just a piece of late-night comedy fodder, though Jimmy Fallon certainly made good use of it. It is, in a very real sense, a political portrait. It captures something that polling data and punditry often struggle to articulate: the exhaustion of a nation that is being asked again and again to make every shared moment about one man's ego. And what struck me most in all of this, what I find genuinely revealing, is the moment Trump asked the crowd to show up for the 4th of July, not inspired them, not invited them, asked them, almost pleaded, warning them, preemptively, that if the seats looked empty, the media would say so. He was managing his own optics in real time, from the stage, at what was supposed to be a national celebration. That is not the posture of a president confident in his standing. That is the posture of a man acutely aware that the enthusiasm around him is thinner than he wants the world to believe. Now, some of you watching this will push back, and rightly so, because the core Trump base was there. The 116th Rally faithful were at the front, and they weren't going anywhere. So the question worth sitting with is this: is what we saw last night a broader cultural signal, a sign that even beyond the base, the fatigue is setting in? Or was it simply the wrong event, wrong format, wrong night? And perhaps the deeper question: when a president is so determined to be the center of a nation's birthday, what does that say about the gap between the office and the man currently holding it? These are not rhetorical questions. They are the questions a healthy democracy asks, and they are exactly the kind of questions we will keep asking here. America at 250 deserves a celebration worthy of its history. What happened on that lawn suggests that, at least for now, the two things, while the nation and its current political moment are struggling to occupy the same space. If you found this report insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, fact-based news commentary.